What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome to the Tuffy Talk live show. We are feeling it. We are hyped. We are excited, y'all. Down go the cheats. Wolfpack on top once again. Fourth year in a row. Count it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go. Huge win. 35-30 win for NC State Wolfpack this past Saturday over the UNC Tarheels. Got myself, Lay Smith, Carson, Michael Tracy here joining us, and then we'll be joined here momentarily by Greg, who said that he just texted me, say he's going to be 5 to 7 minutes late. Shame on him. So let's make sure y'all, everybody, give
specific.
I know, right? 5 to 7 minutes, not like a few minutes, but like 5 to 7. So we should time it. We should see it because okay. Well, actually, you know what? You said that to me 8 minutes ago. So I mean, he should be getting on any second now. So anyway, but if you've been with us, you know the drill. But if not, make sure any comments, questions, concerns, make sure to put them in the chat, and we will discuss probably pretty much all of them here today, is for sure. As we are really focusing on two things. That is the huge win over NC State. I'm sorry. Huge win for NC State over UNC, and the transfer portal is going to be our two big pieces today. We still got a couple other big pieces to talk about within state athletics, but those are obviously the main two for here for sure. Is we get this tradition once a year, and so we're going to enjoy it. So that's pretty much how it goes. But Carson, first of all, were you there at the game this past Saturday?
No, I was watching it with my family. Snake.
Gotcha. Good deal. Yeah, no, I mean, and Michael, I know you obviously unfortunately couldn't be there in person, and but you know, obviously, first of all, I gotta say, it's honestly kind of one of those questions where obviously when the news came out that Mac Brown, because we talked about last week with Marquise Williams of like, did Mac Brown leave UNC football in a better position than when he found it? And I would say yes for sure, but it's just the biggest head scratcher in the world with UNC when yes, I think it's to the point where it's obviously clear as day that they view us as a rival. But yet, I mean, from the amount of fans that show up, I mean, again, it's Carter Finley West. I mean, it's really simple as that. You know, that it's literally NC State fan takeover at Kenan Stadium every single time we played them there. So, but I don't know. Greg, what's up, man?
I'm sorry. What were you saying? I couldn't hear you. I was still celebrating.
That's right. No, well, hey, we haven't stopped yet, man. What you talking about? No,
yeah.
I was just talking about how yes, you know, Mac Brown. We can agree that from when he got here versus when he's leaving, he left UNC football in a better position than when he found it. But still, at the end of the day, here, still 5 years later, and whenever NC State comes to town, it's. I mean, you tell me, Greg, because you know better than I do. But I mean, it had to have been pretty close to 50-50 NC State versus UNC, if not maybe a little bit more NC State potentially. At least that's how it looked to me on TV, man. It was a lot of red.
There was definitely more state fans than student fans.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, no, that
For
student
sure.
section was yeah.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot of North Carolina fans that came dressed as seats.
Yes, exactly. Dressed in aluminum, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, man, but yeah. Got in-game Alpha saying 1,500 days and counting. Absolutely love it. Count.
I don't know if they can even. I don't even know if Carolina students can count that high.
No shot. No way they can do it. And then D. Rube asking, has Marquise made good on his bet yet? I forgot what it was. Not yet. I actually followed up today because it was such a busy day, but I would have loved to have shown it and laughed about it here on the show, but we'll just have to laugh about it on next week's show. But he said he's still trying to find an NC State shirt. But
I'll mail him one.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and so basically the bet, D. Rube, just as a reminder, was that between him and I was if UNC had won, then I would have had to wear a UNC shirt and on a video camera be wearing it and say go Heels and do probably I guess a little Heels, I guess maybe hand signal, and post it. But since NC State won, then he has to wear an NC State shirt and do Go Pack and post it on social media. So we're still waiting on that, but he told me he's working on it. He's a man of his word. He'll make it happen. So yeah. So
Probably gotta get an NC State shirt somehow.
I'd
be surprised if he had one.
he said he'll make it happen, so I'll make sure to keep poking him. But Preacher Man saying, good evening, guys. No, Rogers put a stamp on this rivalry. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
I've said it all along that Noah Rogers was just a diamond under a rock, just let it be, let it free, like let it shine, and man did he shine. That catch by itself alone was just a beacon of what this guy can be talent wise, man, because there's not a whole lot of top level wide receivers that can make that catch, man, and double coverage over the shoulder like that far downfield.
Crazy.
Unbelievable.
Hey, it takes two to tango, though.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I was about to say. The throw, phenomenal for sure, no doubt about it. But I mean, Greg, would you say that? If you kind of had to give the credit meter, would you give, how much percentage would you give credit towards the catch? How much would you be?
50-50, baby.
50-50, baby. All right.
It's a joint effort. They both did their job, so you give them 50-50.
That's fair.
You can't have one without the other.
Nope. That's a good point. It's a very good point. But got Hunter in the chat. Wolf Pack all day, twice on Tuesday. And then D. Rube saying, yeah, that's right. Marquise will look good in red. And also too, that the Thayer Thomas head over heels 34-30 short. I wore that to church on Sunday. It was great. It was a good feeling. A lot of UNC fans go to my church, so got a few extra looks on Sunday.
An exact score again.
Well, and that was another thing. Yeah, 1 point off. Just saying, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
but a little different in terms of how the game ended, obviously, but not quite as theatric for sure. But you got to give all the credit in the world to the team, man. That the Amari Hampton late touchdown could have easily been a gut punch, but how the whole team fought back, with the offense, going down scoring, but then defense, day, taking care of business. Was not their prettiest day for sure, but at the end of the day, the team got the job done. And I think Doran said it best, that at the end of the day, this is a team that fights. And you know what? I love it that at the end of the day, with when a game that matters so much like this, that the team could rise up and get the job done to get to bowl eligibility and make the best out of the season. But Carson, do you think that a win like this, how big do you think a win like this will play in this offseason heading into next year?
Doran definitely rallied the troops for this game.
Absolutely.
Especially since we had to win to make a bowl game. So it's almost like a playoff game in that scenario. But I think a lot of players are still going to as well in the transfer portal look at what happened earlier in the season and be like, okay, Syracuse, they were close. Wake, they were close. Duke, they didn't play good, but they still had opportunities.
Yep.
So you'll see players be like, okay, if we can just have a better put together team, then that culture can really be special. And so, but at the same time, they'll see those stupid losses and be like, man, that's dumb. I don't want to go there. And so it can very much go either way.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah. I mean, I think that, I mean, obviously from a recruiting standpoint, but also too, just from a development standpoint as well, that, that if things are able to work itself out, and if we're able to get to, hold on to CJ for next year, getting another opportunity to let him have, 15 more practices and a game on top of it too, to kind of help develop him, is a great thing. Now, I mean, I know that in today's world, the transfer portal, there's nothing for certain, that even though a guy is here into the bowl game, that doesn't mean whatsoever that he's locked in for next year. Completely get that for sure. But, it's, you got to assume you're holding on to some of these guys, right? I mean, I think it's a safe assumption, right, that hopefully some of these guys that we have playing for us right now, we're going to have next year. I mean, Michael, am I crazy with that? I mean, I feel like that even though we're not in the world of old, where it's not just the people that graduate move on, it's anybody can move on, that even though we don't have that anymore, that there's got to be some benefit to playing in a bowl game still, right, from a developmental standpoint.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, especially with how young we are on the offensive side, I think just continuing to get those extra practices and extra reps is good. And, it keeps some guys kind of locked in, right? If that maybe are on the fence about staying or leaving. Now they have they still have a reason to stay on the team and stay focused on a bowl game. So
that's right.
I'll say this though, I think in the offseason we really need to put a stronger emphasis on strengthening the defense, because this past offseason it was getting Noah Rogers, getting Wesley Grimes, getting Jordan Waters, all on the offensive side, strengthening the offense. I understand that Tony Gibson likes to develop players, but you still need a lot of depth on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of jammed ourselves, if you will, having spent money in other areas of NIL, which I know we'll probably get into a little bit further here, but there was definitely players that they wanted, but because they spent good amounts on other players, the money just wasn't, it had already dried up by the time we wanted to get some of those guys. But to your point, Carson, there's no doubt from what I'm hearing that that's going to be an emphasis and a focus on what we're trying to accomplish this offseason.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely get to that. Go ahead, Michael.
I think, like you said, Greg, I think maybe the distribution of money to certain guys was not the most efficient, but I think the focus being on revamping the offense last offseason, I think that was the right approach. Mm-hmm. I just don't think, the execution of it was the best.
Well, especially given the circumstances from the previous year where we struggled to score points, right? And so you knew that you had to go after the points, and you figured, because it's a Tony Gibson defense, that, hey, if you can score 30, right, that magic number of 30, you're probably going to win your lion's share of games. It just, I don't know.
Which this year it wasn't the case because the defense dropped off a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit more.
There were multiple games we scored 30 and still lost.
Yeah, no, definitely going to be, I think, arguably Doran's most important offseason for sure in his tenure. Arguably, just to finally have some hits, to also to just prove that the investment that fans have made, stepping up to the plate from an NIL perspective, like that they are seeing a return on their investment in terms of seeing a great product be put on the field. That's an ACC championship caliber competing football team, and I think that here's one thing which I'll say. I mean, I think with CJ Bailey, that I think that finally having a quarterback that we can is young, that we can develop, and instead of going the graduate transfer route, I think is going to be big. Just because I think now you've instead of having to go into next season with an expectation of what a Robert and I or an offense run by Brandon Armstrong or Grayson McCall may look like, you know what you guys, CJ Bailey, you know what he can do. And so now it's just a matter of just, making it better and building on it, really just building around CJ Bailey. Now, again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Nothing's been confirmed yet in terms of that CJ is coming back, but I think there's no doubt, and from everything that is pretty much publicly out there, that just in reading between the lines, that as long as CJ Bailey's not going to be an astronomical ass, that we'll do what it takes to hold on to him for sure. But obviously to be determined. And Greg, I'll kind of let you say this better than I do for sure. But I know that during NIL side, in the NIL age, it's so easy to get. I think I kind of look NIL, especially right now, a lot like conference realignments, where it's 99.999% just speculation. There is no, it's just numbers being thrown around, rumors being thrown around. But Greg, would you kind of agree with that metaphor?
Yeah, there's tons of information out there. You really have to weed through. There's probably only a handful of folks that really do know what's going on, and those are those that are directly involved with the negotiations of these NIL deals. That information is just not slipping out. Here's the thing: you don't want to get that information too public, because then now you know what you're bidding against potentially, and then also you don't want players to get jealous of one another, being like, well, why is this guy making 600,000? I should be $1.5 million, or I should be this, or I should be that. So, it's just like any other job. You don't normally talk about your salary. What you're worth is what you're worth, and whatever they're willing to pay you. All signs do sound positive from, reading some of the tea leaves out there. But here's the thing. You can come to an agreement today with a number of these players. These agreements are not binding. So they can say, I'm going to sign on the dotted line for X dollars, and who's to say that some other team doesn't come in and swoop them, and so like the prices were right, $1 more, and it's just what it is.
And this one kind of hits, a little closer to home with my wife, but, ask, South Carolina with Antoine Juice Wells, who, had agreed to come back to South Carolina, but then got offered a little bit more money at Ole Miss and said, deuces, I'm out of here, and left Ole Miss. And South Carolina fans did not forget that the entire season for sure. So yeah, no, 100%, which it's there's positives and negatives for sure. We've talked about it, to dust, but just in the day, it's the reality we live in.
I think they need to figure out how to make these things binding. I think it protects both the player and the organization, or the school, or whoever you want to call it, whether you're putting it back on the school or the NIL organization, just because you need those protections in place. I don't think, and if someone knows different, I think if you leave, like those guys, and I'm not going to name any names, we know who left the program. I don't think they're required to pay back that NIL that they've gotten. I could be wrong. I would love to be able to figure that out, but I don't think that they can go after that money.
No, that wouldn't be. No, I don't think so. As long as they fulfilled the obligations when they were here on the team, then that's money. Theirs,
I would assume, like, for example, somebody like a Grayson McCall, for example, like, even though he got injured and got knocked out for half season, it's not like that he would be required or asked to get to pay. No,
I'm talking more like, and again, anyone that was on the team that left after before 4 games. I'm genuinely curious to see if they're required to give their NIL back.
I see what you're saying.
I don't think they are.
I don't think they are either. Yeah,
because they're technically not. They're technically not getting paid for being on the team. They're getting paid for all these other things that they're doing.
Name, image, likeness, not pay per play.
Exactly.
So that's kind of where I'm going with this. Like, we need to protect both sides, right? And again, I'm not talking about injury. Injuries happen. That's just just the way it goes. But if you're on a team and you leave before you play 12 games or whatever it is, I think you should give it back. I do. It's like these guys that retire not because of like medical, but like when you retire, you don't get paid anymore in the league unless your contract was fully guaranteed and fully vested. But I don't know. I just don't know what can be done. And then do we talk salary caps?
Well, and D Rube
That's
says,
gotta
you know,
be
if there are monthly payments, maybe the payments get void after they leave.
correct. If
think
it wasn't a lump sum, then yeah, they wouldn't.
Right.
Because
Again,
they
I would
wouldn't
love to
be
learn more
then-
about this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I would too. And even for us, I mean, you know, obviously for all of us here, you know, we're pretty close with some people close to all this, and even us don't really know exactly how it all works, you know, but it's still overall relatively new. Again, I mean, 3 years ago, this was, you know, like, that ain't happening. Are you crazy? And then here we are. You know, we're full, you know, two arms, two legs, fully deep into NIL right now. But so I do want to bring up one thing. So Brett Weeks saying, you know, State played a good game. Just someone needs to tell him how difficult it is to plant a flag on the AstroTurf. And then Preacher Man saying they should have gave the flag to Greg once again. You know, I definitely really wanted to talk about that here today. You know, it's obviously, first of all, I'll say this. I have decided that rivalry football weekend is like up there in terms of like my 2 or 3 favorite days of the year. Like
It's definitely escalated too. Like I
oh
feel
my
like,
god, it was
yeah.
so much fun. Like between Texas
Yeah.
A&M, State and UNC, South Carolina, Clemson, Michigan, Ohio State, you name it. Like, oh
Florida
my
State,
god.
Florida had some drama in it.
Yep, Arizona State has some drama in it. Like, oh my gosh, it was so good. It was so fun to watch.
Yeah.
But I mean, Carson, give me your thoughts here first, man. Like the big question: should flag planting be, you know, suspendable offense? No.
No, if you don't like flag planting, just beat them.
That's what.
As
Amen.
simple as that. Although I don't think that we made the right decision in doing it at that moment. I think we should have waited at the time.
Yes.
Like they did before.
Everything. Yeah, waited for everything to clear out, celebrate with Wolfpack Nation, and then wait till everyone clears out, and then like go plant the flag there if you want to do that.
Yes. No, no, I literally like kind of like, you know, do a metaphors like you take a, you know, a treat and just like go like right to the dog's nose and be like, here's treat, and then it's like dogs be like, okay, like bite.
Yep.
But like it's like, you know, like give it a minute, you know, like what do you expect when you bring a flag and you try and plant it like right in front of 30 UNC football players right there? Like, yeah, guess what? A couple of them are gonna bite, and then it's just crap's gonna break out. So yeah, no, I didn't like the timing whatsoever. But yeah, anybody who says, oh man, good for, you know, that UNC player for standing up, blah blah blah. Hey, listen, man, like, you know, we did our talking for 60 minutes of football. You're trying to do your talking when it doesn't even matter anymore. But guess what? I'm walking out here with a win. And here's my thing too. At the end of the day, it's your house. Like, guess what? Like, we came to your house and we beat you in your house. We've done it now 2 times in a row. So, and the first time we did it, we came back once again, and you still couldn't beat us. So guess what? In my opinion, we have the right once again to plant our flag, because guess what? You still have not taken that from us. Now, when you come to NC State next year, if you beat us and if you want to plant your flag in NC, you know, in Carter Finley, that's your right. Now, I mean, I kind of like, you know, side eye you a little bit because we've beaten you 4 times in a row, like, you know, easy now. Sure, but I'm not going to say, oh, they shouldn't have planted their flag in NC State's field. No, because guess what? Then that you came to our house, and if you beat us in our house, then whatever. Like, you know, then guess what? We should walk out there with our tails between our legs saying we shouldn't have beat them when it counted. I can't say anything right now. So yeah, no, and it's just I don't know, just to me, and we'll kind of get to this here a little bit as well, but I mean, I think
first off, they need to change brands, because obviously the whole Jumpman is not working. Maybe they should go to Under Armour and protect this house, because it's just not working.
I agree. But here's my thing, though. I wanted to kind of mention a little bit that, like, when you look at the teams that reacted yesterday, or on Saturday, so the teams that were the ones getting planted, so Florida State, UNC,
Ohio State,
and Arizona. What do all 4 of those teams have in common right now? They are scrambling. They are teams right now that are lost, that have no idea where they're going, that just have a complete loss of culture right now. And Greg, I kind of want to bring back a little bit that a year ago there was a game. Go ahead, Greg.
No, I want to take this back even further.
Go for it.
2013 and Eric Ebron in Dave Doran's first year. People forget they started this nonsense, tearing up our field at the logo.
Well, I mean, definitely the guts on us for doing a state of North Carolina.
I get it. I get it, but we didn't start it. So Dave Doran has not forgotten 11 years later.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point for sure.
So they were the first team to do it at our house. Now we've just been, look, if you don't like it, beat us.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Don't show more fight after the game. Show that fight during the game.
Yep. I mean,
if you start fighting after the game, that means you didn't give full effort.
There you go.
I agree. I do agree with that point too. But and Chilton asks, isn't that sort of the point to do it in front of them? I mean, again, it just goes back to it's like you can make the point because let's put it this way: you don't need to necessarily, make it easy for them to make a mistake. You know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, again, I just would have rather had, the 2 years ago moment without the fight, just because first of all, that can lead to suspensions. The players can get injured, crap could happen, and we don't want that. We want to make the point. And guess what? That beautiful picture. And speaking of, I need to find that picture again. I need to bring it up here. But that beautiful picture 2 years ago of our in-state player, the safety, the transfer from Florida State. I can't remember his name.
Cyrus Fagan.
Yeah, Cyrus Fagan standing there waving that flag, NC State flag on the UNC logo.
Yeah,
that would go down. That would go down the history. Put it in the Louvre, like
Louvre.
Louvre.
Just the Louvre.
Louvre. Yeah. Hey, listen, man. I can type it, but I can't necessarily say it.
Yeah.
But anyway,
we just talk sports on here.
We talk sports, all right.
We're sports guys.
But and again, you got all of that without having to have a fight on the field. So that's kind of my point to that. But yeah,
Carson, what year are you again? Are you a junior? What are you? Junior. Yeah. So you're undefeated against Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This graduating class, as weird as it is because of all the COVID and red shirts and all that, but the last 4 years, those guys are undefeated against Carolina. We hadn't even talked about Mac being all-time 7-11 against NC State at all his college stops.
Yep.
So that's what I'm going to miss the most about Mac is beating him.
Yeah. No, I definitely was hoping that Mac could do just enough to hang around for one more year, just so he can come to NC State.
He tried. He for sure tried.
He had his agenda. They just weren't. But I honestly, again, I know this isn't a Carolina podcast, but I would like to spend a moment about that because he is a Hall of Fame coach, right? And I think there should be a level of respect. But it was just weird that on Monday he said he was coming back, but he always said, so this is where I'm kind of confused because he said the goal, like he agreed that there needed to be a change in leadership, but on Monday you said you were coming back. So I'm kind of just curious about that a little bit.
I mean, I'll basically say that, from what I've been hearing from UNC people is that basically UNC asked him, will you retire? And he said no. And because he wants his money, and basically was like,
I think honestly, it's just pride. I don't more than the money.
But that's the thing.
But the money probably don't hurt.
It can't hurt.
But see, again, pride. But just like you said, like pride in the fact that, like, how much does it suck that, just like you said, Greg, a Hall of Fame coach is going to end his career getting fired instead of actually like just the headline being retiring. That's the thing I feel sucks, for him a little bit. But at the end of the day, if he got the option, and again, that's just what I've heard. But if he truly did get the option to retire, then I'm like, man, why don't you take that? Just take the retirement.
It's his own fault.
You don't need the money.
Yeah, but but that is an interesting point because if he does retire, does he not get the money, right? So the contract is a thing, and we won't be privy to a lot of that. But but he said that he was willing to step down. He just wanted to do it after the game. And again, if his reasons are legit, I completely agree with him. I wouldn't have quit on Monday, and I damn sure wouldn't have done it on Friday before the game.
Sure.
It's just weird. And I know Bubba Cunningham did an interview today, which I kind of wanted to just check out because I do find it interesting. But he really wasn't involved in any of the discussions. It sounded like it was the board of trustees and some athletic guy that wasn't Bubba Cunningham.
Interesting.
I don't know. Just weird. Just weird.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that either. Like he's the AD. He's gonna.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. But if you go by what Max said at his press conference Saturday night, Bubba's name really wasn't mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know there's lots of power dynamics going on over there between the board of trustees and the boosters. Like,
yep.
I remember last year, Mac, like he was like, I talked to all our biggest boosters about like what we got to do to turn this around. It's like, okay, well, it's kind of weird.
I also didn't believe the number he threw out about NIL. Did anyone catch that? Did anyone even watch his press conference?
Yeah, he said 12 million.
12 million.
Well, that's with the revenue sharing now because that goes into effect next year.
Okay,
so that's revenue sharing plus NIL.
All right, that makes.
I was like,
there's no way in Ham Sandwich they got $12 million.
No,
for football.
Heck no, because I mean, Amari
that would rival a lot of like big time football.
Yeah, that'd
programs.
be like
top.
Probably
especially because I mean, I know what their best player Amari Hampton made, and so I mean, even if you take that as the most, and then significantly decrease pretty much everybody else, I mean, that's anyway, but moving on exactly. So do want to talk a little bit though here about the transfer portal. In terms of what news we've heard so far. What our expectations are, things like that. So obviously news came out about Kevin Concepcion, entering his name in the transfer portal, which once again, I mean, we kind of called it 2 weeks ago, said Arian Concepcion decommitment. There's a few reasons that could make sense of, is a scenario that Kevin Concepcion might stay, but more likely most of the more likely scenarios are that's tea leaves for that Kevin Concepcion's leaving as well. And obviously was not his most productive year. And here's my thing, Greg, like how much do you say that we vastly underused him enough? AK put the book. No. Like, do you think that we
overused him, in my opinion?
Wow. That's a quote. Okay.
And the only reason I say that, they kept forcing it like he was your best player because he was the guy last year. There's no doubt about that. If it wasn't for Casey Concepcion, we don't make a bowl game. We don't win 9 games. We don't do any of that stuff. But it just felt like, and I don't know the reasoning why it felt that way. It just felt like they tried to force the ball to him. And I get it. He's a great playmaker, but everything was just down. His run attempts, he was running for almost 8 yards a carry last year. He was under 2 this year. All his numbers were just down. And I don't know if his touches were down. So that's the one thing that I didn't, when I was trying to do some research, his total touches. I don't know if they were down, but it just felt like we had so much talent. I think we kind of talked about it. We had too much talent. I felt like, and there's only one ball to go around. And you're trying to get Justin Jolie, Concepcion, Grimes, Collins, all your running backs, it's just, it felt like too much.
Yeah.
As crazy as that is to say.
Real quick,
early.
I'll give you some stats real quick, Michael, and then I'll let you give your point. So last year, Casey had 105 targets. This year he had 88. Last year he had 40 rushing attempts. This year he had 18 rushing attempts. Last year he averaged 11.7 yards per reception, 10 touchdowns. This year he averaged 8.7 yards per reception and 6 touchdowns. So a 3 yard per reception decrease for this year. And then rushing wise, he had here's the interesting thing is that he averaged 7.9 yards per running attempt last year. This year he averaged 2.4, had 2 touchdowns, 3 fumbles. So interesting.
So his touches are down real quick. His touches are down, but it just felt like they were forced touches. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like it just, and maybe certain games it just felt more like that. I don't know.
Yeah. I think second half of the year, they just put him back in the slot really and used him as a slot receiver, which they probably should have done from the beginning.
But you also figured
yeah.
out Hollywood Smothers by then too, right? So I think some of that's a byproduct.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, you brought in other guys around him, which is, that's a good thing.
Yep.
That's
Now,
a good point. I would like to your point, Michael, the first half touches versus second half of the season touches, because I feel like maybe that was a thing.
I mean, let's put it this way. So first 6 weeks of the season, he had 14 targets, 7 targets, 10 targets, 10 targets, 7 targets, 10 targets.
Mhm.
And then for the last 6 games of the year, he never had more than actually I checked that back. He only had 1 game with more than 7 targets
So there you
for the
go.
last 6 games of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Georgia Tech, and he had 2 drops in that game. So
Mhm.
no, definitely. I think it was a combination of it just wasn't working with KC, but also to Hollywood Smothers, man. Like, dude, I'm telling you right now, Hollywood Smothers was, in my opinion, by far the most impressive player this season, man. Like, just over 7 yards, an attempt in a true running back fashion, like yards after contact, everything in between. Unbelievable. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I think from someone you didn't expect it from.
Yeah.
And I forgot he missed 2-3 games. Like, his numbers could have been even better.
Right.
But
I mean,
he showed those flashes early.
Yeah, but the problem was Jordan was so featured in those first 5 games or so. It was just really hard to get him going. But once you figured it out, and then is that, and it's weird because we talked about this before. Is it Hollywood being so good? Is it the offensive line kind of figuring some things out? Because as you look at the last 3 to 4 games of the season, we ran the ball a heck of a lot better than we did the first half of the season. Like, probably from that Stanford game on.
200 yards average in the last 4 games of the season. Yeah.
Now, you want to hear? Did y'all see the tweet from On3 of 5 schools that is expected to look at?
Somebody just sent it. Yeah.
Colorado, Alabama, Auburn, Penn State, and Kansas State.
The biggest surprise there is Auburn.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But it's SEC. I'm surprised Mississippi's not on it, to be honest with you.
Auburn. Yeah, Ole Miss. I don't know. Kansas State feels like that's on there because his brother committed there. I don't know if he ends up at Kansas State. Colorado it seems like that's kind of where he be, where he fits. But
they got to replace some guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Travis Hunter will be gone.
Well, I mean, and that's going to automatically significantly increase his NIL just because of the fact that he's with Deion Sanders, assuming that Deion Sanders is the coach next year for Colorado. So,
who knows? That's true. Well, Auburn, I don't know. I don't see him at Alabama. I know he's a good player, but that seems like Alabama can get the best.
He's a huge risk.
Whoever they want. Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing, and this isn't. I don't know. Maybe I'm unpopular opinion going out on the limb. If he gets paid again, how does he? Because it definitely looks like and feels like that once he got that bag of money, his production went down for whatever reason. And I don't know, is it scheme? Like, how we tried to use him?
A little bit of everything this year. He definitely when he did get the chances, I don't think it just wasn't. He just didn't look the same, and maybe he was hurt a little bit. I don't know, but
Well, just to kind of summarize it, I mean, literally in the last 11 games of the year, he had the same amount of touchdowns he had in the first game. Like, he had 3 touchdowns versus Western. He had 3 touchdowns for the rest of the season. Like, I don't know. It just.
I mean, it wasn't for a lack of, like you said, targets. At the beginning, I mean, plenty of opportunity. Yep. I don't know, Carson. Like, what does your eyes tell you?
Yeah, I think y'all said it. I think we see in the NIL era when a few players get played, there's just less motivation.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It feels like it. I don't know. It's frustrating because there was no question he was your best offensive player last year, and to me, it's like you take that next step forward. And look, I won't share rumors that I've heard, but they definitely weren't good.
No. Yeah, well, and now the one thing which I will say though is that, do you think that a big reason why? Because I mean, basically, you can assume that the conversation probably went something like KC coming to our NIL and saying, I would like this much. More than likely, there was, a misunderstanding in terms of, because I mean,
When, this year or last year? Like, what are you talking about? Like just
this
now?
year, like the why, like basically
The
what
what?
I'm saying is that there was probably a conversation in terms of how much he was looking for, and I do think that a little bit that's going on in Dave Doran's head and a lot of these guys' head, a little bit, was Jonathan Paylor, man. Could, in my opinion, I think Jonathan Paylor has the skill set and the build to jump in right where Casey left off, in my opinion.
Do
And
we
I
have
know
any
that
kind
he's,
of tweets of the week? Like, because I sent you something, and I don't know if we're going to talk about it. The whole Andrew Luck thing. Like,
I didn't get that one, but yeah,
no, that's
no.
fine.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Here's the thing. If the numbers that I heard are correct for KC last year, you could go get 3 to 4 dudes easily to fill those gaps that Carson was talking about on defense, right? You can go get some guys to where now, addition by subtraction, right? So you have a very loaded wide receiver room. All right. So you got guys that potentially can step up. We just saw the comment there with Paylor. But here's the thing: 0 experience in that slot position now. You have no production going.
Yeah, it's risky.
Next year. It's
Baylor could, but that's
right. It's an unknown. But we said the same thing about KC last year. KC came out of nowhere. 3-star kid, really wasn't talked about a whole lot.
Well, and was a true freshman. I mean, like he didn't even have any time on campus. But with Paylor, you've at least had a whole year under D'Antonio Burnett, developing, practicing. So, I mean, I'm perfectly okay taking that risk on a top 100 recruit, a guy that is built different for sure, that has speed, that has power, that has IQ, that can do it all. And
we'll probably get a taste of it at the bowl game.
I think so too. Yeah, I mean, so I'm excited. Now, again, this is all complete speculation, but I'm just looking at it saying, listen, if I compare to Paylor, what we paid KC, I'm sitting here saying,
well, you're not paying Paylor what you paid Casey. I can promise you that.
Well, exactly. So that's what I'm saying is, like, I'd rather take the chances and pay way less money and go take that difference and go get 2 players to help defense next year.
Well, now you can go get that linebacker that they so desperately wanted back in the spring, actually, that they had no money left over because look, you got Hollywood late into the cycle, right? So you can make the argument that some of that money would have maybe gone to a linebacker. I'm okay this year giving that money to Hollywood to see, what came of that, because he came in really, really late in the cycle, if I remember correctly. Look, we're I kind of think I said it a couple weeks ago. We're kind of like a small market team as far as so you gotta be smart with your money, and if that's unfortunately saying goodbye to a fan favorite, because there's no doubt that Casey was a fan favorite, even knowing that Carolina was his last game, because I'm 99.9% sure he won't play in a bowl game, because that's the way Doran usually rolls. Once you're gone, you're gone.
Oh, yeah.
And so for him to still put that level of effort out there, there's some good things about the character there, and he was very gracious. He took a picture with my son after the game. So it's really tough from a fan perspective to swallow that pill, knowing that we've all invested time in these guys, and then for them just to walk away. But it's just not that simple anymore.
Now, you want to quote, Gabe's got it right here, which is, need to play Moneyball State. We play like Bama in here. We will lose to Alabama out there. I'm like, oh, I love that. Taking the Moneyball quote and spinning it right around and saying it beautifully. Great, Gabe. Great job there on that quote. But I mean, and you still got even guys as well, like Terrell Anderson, that you want to hold on to, maybe potentially even Keenan Jackson, that shows some promise this season as well. So
CJ loves those dudes, by the way. Like, I've heard, like, he's a big fan of Anderson, of Noah, of Grimes, of Collins, Jackson. Like, they are really super tight, and so if you're able to bring that nucleus back along with Smothers and potentially Joe Lee, you've got something. I mean, you really do. And I know people talk about Anai, but Anai also, if you watch the game closely on Saturday, Dante Daniels got a touchdown, which he looked like he was playing tackle. at a tackle
Yeah.
position.
No, that was
And
that one was a great call.
great play design. I think, the easy thing is, when you're not seeing the production that you want, it's easy to say someone needs to be fired and someone needs to go away. But you have to remember Bailey, Jackson, Rogers, Smothers, probably a couple others, Grimes. They were all first-year guys in the system.
True.
Yeah.
And so again, it's just like kind of like we were saying earlier, where instead of going the route of going getting a grad transfer quarterback, where once again you're just speculating, now you're saying, well, now we know what we have, now let's just build on it this offseason instead of starting over for once. So that's why I do agree with you for sure that yes, I mean, was I thrilled this season with an eye and play calling, play design, you name it. Like,
Well,
first
it's
of all,
just execution, man.
can we take that play with the fake screen left, fake screen right, pass up the middle? Can we take that play, ball it up, and throw it away? We ran that play 3 times a game, and it worked early, but defenses just figured it out late.
There's definitely head scratchers.
I will
right?
say that the Dante Daniels touchdown. That's what that was. It was double fake screens, and Daniels. That was the first time he ran it like that.
Yes,
but
correct.
Yeah,
I know. See, he was running it all those times.
It was the long game. Yeah,
all that failure just to be successful one time.
Just one time.
1 time out of 50%, it's successful 90% of the time. One of those strange Ron Burgundy quotes.
That's right.
But I get it though. It's easy to say it's play call, it's play call, it's play call. Sometimes it's just not having the right personnel on the field at crucial moments, right? Because of other things. I will say 2nd and 17 running Wildcat looked the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life on Saturday.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
For every good call, you're going to have some head scratchers.
Yeah.
It's just what it is.
Yep. No, absolutely. So get to a couple of comments here. John saying, I suspect that the cheerleaders didn't want that nasty blue on their uniforms, talking about when they were on the L when they laid on the L in the end zone on Saturday. That was funny. That was a good one. And then you got James Turner coming in here saying it's funny to watch NC State fans get excited about one game that they have won 4 games and they can't beat Clemson. They're not that good. Darn, will never take State to an ACC championship.
So James Turner, we're 2-2 in the last 4 against Clemson. I don't know. Maybe you forgot those other 2 wins. I don't know. Maybe
that's what I'm
tuning in.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to figure out as well. I was trying to do that math.
I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, half of his statement is true. Like, we haven't won an ACC championship. Congratulations, you backdoored in it because Miami sucks.
Yeah, and you just lost to South Carolina when you were up 14-7 with 7 minutes left, and you lost. So, or something like that. Anyway, but yeah, and then yep, and then Preacher Man saying CJ Bailey was a true freshman. He took his lumps and got better. And yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely
James Turner. You're right. He took some lumps at Clemson. Congratulations.
Yeah, he took his lumps at Clemson.
No, he did.
But all right, so hey, let's move on here. Some tweets of the week, and let's keep this party going. So let's jump into it. All right, Carson. So this was actually your tweet of the week, man. So I'll let you kind of introduce the idea or the analytic point that you found out of this year's uniform combinations.
Yeah, don't wear black, because if we wear black, we lose.
Black jerseys.
Well, black jerseys, and just the games we wore black, period, either on our pants or jerseys, we were 1-4.
1-4.
So, yeah, no, that's a good point. And
I think our tracker should be. I have a sort of rhythm in my head for how I think our uniform tracker should be every year. So let's say we play 7 home games and 5 away games. Okay. So for 7 home games, let's say that 4 of those we just wear our standard white, red, white uniforms. Mm-hmm. And then we'll have 1 game where we have the blackout, 1 game where we wear white helmets, red jerseys, and red pants, and then 1 game where we just do a wild card. And then let's say we play 5 away games. This makes me really mad because I always consider this to be our standard uniform. All white should be our standard uniform combo. It's literally our standard home combo, except you swap out red for the white jerseys. And we've not done that this year. I don't like that. But I think we should wear that once or twice a year. we should do the red, white, red once a year, and then we should do the white helmet, white jersey, and red pants, and then a couple of wild cards in there as well.
Now, here's the thing, and Greg and Michael and Carson, I want to bring this point to y'all, and let me know in the chat too as well. That UNC uniform combo right there, knowing the fact that UNC wore all blue, we were one red jersey away from sending all NC State and UNC fans just absolutely like screaming and kicking and just losing their freaking minds if we had all red versus all blue. I'm like looking at them and like it's just so close from perfection, just so close. So we could have had all red versus all blue. It would have been just absolutely gorgeous, and Joe Giglio would have absolutely lost his mind. So yeah, no, but I mean, so yeah, definitely love that point, Carson, as well. When you pointed that out, I'm like, that's a good point, especially because how superstitious Doran is. I mean, we know that because we have not worn all red since 2015. It's been about 9 years.
It's been a while.
So the last time I was just looking this up just to validate it. In 2022, when we last played there, we did red, white, red, and that's what they wore. Yes, on Saturday. So I think to that superstitious.
We always wear it when we go over there.
Yeah, it feels like we do.
It feels like we do. One.
Yeah. It used to be all white, but yeah, no, definitely red, white, red.
2020 we did red, white, red over there. So I felt like that's like to your point, Carson. Yeah, 2018 we did the same thing.
Okay. I think we're finding something here.
Yeah.
So but in-game saying yes, 0-5 under Doran and all red. So
yeah, that's why I stopped wearing them.
Exactly.
And I know the players get to vote on it, but I'm wondering if he goes left hand or right hand. Like you get to vote, but I set the conditions.
He's got veto power.
And it's funny too because typically on senior day, the Doran lets the seniors pick or at least have a big say of what uniform combination they want. Now
I think it's every game. I mean, yeah. I think the players are going to pick every game.
Yeah,
I think so.
Really,
from what I understand, from what I've heard,
that's different than that. That has changed recently. That's not how it was. But Doran used to have, especially I would say through while I was there. So through 2016, it was pretty much Doran that decided it. Except for senior day.
I'll definitely ask that question because now I am curious. But I've heard that the team gets to pick. Now again, like I said, I don't know if they get to pick from a choice or they just get free reign.
Well, because basically, and so even more the point, then I wonder how many times the senior said, "How about all red?" And Doran said, "No all red."
Right.
I do it. I just have a strong feeling in my stomach that all red has been asked a few times by the players, but it got shot down immediately. So, Chillin saying, "Dang, I love the black. I know I'm in the minority."
No, I like the red, black, red combo.
Yeah, they'll keep wearing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They'll keep wearing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we wore it more than I would thought, to Carson's point, because normally we only pull like blacks out like once a year, maybe twice. Like with the fact that we did it 3 times was.
Well, here's my other thing too. I feel like maybe my memories kind of hold me back, but I feel like it's been a while since we've worn like a brand new alternate uniform. Hasn't it been?
Years? I mean, the last one I think was that 2021, the bricks pattern.
Yeah, the gray or the bricks one. Yeah.
Now this black jersey was different than previous black jerseys.
Yeah, a little different. That's right.
Yeah.
It's just. But not like a specialty uniform, right?
Exactly. Not like a military appreciation uniform.
Yeah,
it was weird or something.
Yeah, right. It was weird because they released the Slobbering Wolf jersey that had from 19, I think it was 84. I think is what I was told. Like that would have been a cool jersey with like any of these logos back here. Especially if you want to do a diamond game, but not do like full diamond. You can go diamond with the Tuffy on the shoulder pads. That would be a cool combo where it feels like a specialty uniform, but it's not completely a specialty uniform.
Right. No, I 100% agree. Now I do need to give a shout out to that was from that graphic was from the in-state uniform tracker, so got to give a shout out to Drew Johnson, NC State uniform tracker, for that graphic. Got to give credit where credit is due for sure. He does a great job with that.
Yeah, those are fun.
And in game saying I love the brick uniforms for sure. Those are good ones. Then the Slobber Wolf, in my opinion, one of the most underrated NC State logos, if not the most underrated. But want to jump to one other tweet of the week here from NC State football side that's big, which is that NC State defensive coordinator Tony Gibson is a finalist for the Charlotte head coaching job. The Wolfpacker could confirm. Hunter Bailey 45 reported first. And here's my immediate question for you, Carson. How big would you say it is for us to hold on to Tony Gibson, or would you say that, like is it kind of like fine, see ya, talk to you later, appreciate you to Coach Gibson, or is it like please Coach Gibson comes back, or is it somewhere in between that?
I think it's somewhere in between. I think it'd be great if Coach Gibson stays. I want him to stay. I think he's a great coordinator. I think he fires up the defense really well. But, I mean, I think he would be a good head coach somewhere else. So if he wants to leave, I'll be happy for him. I thank him for everything he's done for this program.
Mm-hmm.
But I personally, I want him to stay, but I'm not going to blame him if he wants to go be a head coach.
Now, Michael, in-game says Charlotte massive pay cut. Is it? It's not going to be a massive.
What's he making now? Here
he's over one. I think it's 1.25.
1.25.
Yeah, and I think I saw they were paying Biff one. Hey, they'd probably match it, but
they would.
Yeah,
maybe a little more, but
probably match it and then give them incentives.
It would be a home run hire for Charlotte for sure. It would be a home run.
Hire. Yeah.
Keep in mind too. There's so West Virginia just opened up with Neil Brown getting fired. He's from West Virginia.
App State just opened up.
App State just opened up, and then you also have I've heard rumors potentially the NFL. He was looking at potentially an NFL jump as well.
Wow.
Yeah, 6 years is a long time to be somewhere, especially as a coordinator. Those guys have shelf lives. So, 6 years, he's probably accomplished everything other than winning, winning championships, but he's developed a lot of guys, got guys in the NFL. If he's going to want to get more pay, he's going to either have to go to another school, whether that be a head coaching job or a higher profile P4 gig. And so I think he's maxed out at NC State at this point. So now it's just a matter of what are his career goals.
Yep. No, agreed. Which I mean, he's got a pretty big family. He's got a daughter and grandkids, and so I mean, I know that especially with Raleigh being one of the hubs for families, that probably is going to have something to do with it. I know that I will still even say that because I was pretty close with Des Kitchings, our former in-state running backs coach. And I remember that he was him and I were talking about him getting some offers to go be offensive coordinator at a few schools, even head coach at one or two schools, specifically one of those schools being his alma mater. And when I asked him why did he not take those jobs, he said because my wife would have killed me if we left Raleigh. And I started busting out laughing. So yeah, definitely that to me kind of is a testament to how highly viewed Raleigh is and how much that even is going to play into making decisions such as moving away from NC State, a place where he could find some job security for sure at NC State for sure. But for me, just to kind of give my quick thought on how big, and then Greg, I'll let you jump in. I mean, for me, I'm kind of indifferent. If he goes, definitely wish him all the best, appreciate it. But I think, in my opinion, it's kind of a little bit like Adam Hall leaving wrestling, where it's like I don't want him to leave, but sometimes change is good. Sometimes just
for everybody involved,
a fresh set of eyes. You know what I mean? Like maybe that can be the one of the lights to kind of just have a little bit of a spark, a little bit of a change. But Greg, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, he's 52 years old. So if you're going to make a jump to a head coaching, this is probably right about the time you want to do that.
Yep.
He is from West Virginia. Like I said, he went to West Virginia. Again, that job is open. Yeah, here's the one thing too. If he leaves, you probably can bring in someone a little bit cheaper. So there's that. And Coach Dorn has a good track record of developing coaches into head coaches. He's had Drink and Beck and
Nielsen could have.
Nielsen could have. He's a D coordinator in the NFL, so that's almost like being a head coach in college.
Anybody had offers, but he said nope. Defensive coordinators as far as I'm going.
Yeah. So.
And I'm sure Dorn already kind of has a list because
they always
been rumored for a head coaching job or something else for a while, the last couple of years now. So I'm sure he's got his eye on somebody to make a quick replacement.
Yeah, and then it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out as far as who you bring in. Are you going to stay 3-3-5, or are you going to change your defensive alignment? So there's a lot that goes into this.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now I love T. Corral's comment saying, "I'm old school. We are the red and white from state. Get rid of black and gray." Hey, T. Corral 222. I mean, we've had this conversation before. So,
is that your burner account?
I know, right? Is that the burner?
No, that's my mom. That's my mom.
Hey, I love it. Okay, well, hey, Mama Corral, we appreciate you being on here. Thank you so much for joining us.
I get it though. I mean, there's a lot of fans that hold that same sentiment. I'm kind of right between the old school and new school, that I don't really care what they wear as long as they win and look good, feel good, play good. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I get it though. But I think too, there's just certain games that you should wear the red and white. Like in Carolina is that game. Homecoming is another game that you should wear your red and white. But I do like the specialty uniform. I think it's just cool. As cool as tradition is, I do like new beginnings and new feels. It's fun.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Where are you at, Carson, on that, being a younger guy?
I really like the blackout tradition.
If we get it right.
If we do it right. The only blackout that I've won, probably one of the most fun games that I've been to as a student, was the Texas Tech game from a couple of years ago. That was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Louisville though was the best.
Yes, that was just such a good game, especially in the first half. The defense played so good.
Yeah, and the chrome, honestly, that's the best helm. Like the chrome with the red, like that one was sick.
Yeah,
I think we need to play sort of tradition for our big games though.
Yeah.
Homecoming should be at senior day.
Yeah,
we should be wearing red and white. We should.
TJ's good. That's a good one too. Yeah.
I did not like how we wore black against Duke on senior day.
I agree. That's a good point.
Yep. I think that for our old rivalries like Carolina, Wake, Clemson, I love how we always wear red and white for Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
Wake, we had a blackout against Wake.
We did
in Ryan Finley, and we lost. So I don't like that.
Yep, didn't end out well. We should never wear black. Now I get it when you play Louisville, where your colors are basically the same. So I kind of get where you would wear black in that game. But yeah, I'm with you. If we play Wake, we should not be wearing black. Like just go red and white.
Here's my thing. I think the blackout should always be the first night game. The first night game of the year should be the blackout.
Yeah, but would you do that for Western Carolina? Like to me, that doesn't scream.
That's true.
First conference,
first conference night game, or if it's like not an FCS team, or we did
a big non-conference.
Yeah,
I mean,
if it's ECU and it's a night game, it's like late in September. Why not wear black?
Yeah, you could do that.
I mean, there's only a few things you can know for sure, and that is that in the first home game, we're either going to wear white, red, white, or white, red, red. One of the two. It's a given. That's going to happen. That's never going to change under Dorn, guaranteed.
Yeah.
But CFB reports, DM us or send us an email. We'll talk more there for sure. Want also to give a huge shout out as well to a couple different things. Is first of all, Reynolds Coliseum is celebrating their 75th anniversary. And I want to bring up this picture specifically, which for those who are listening to us, this was probably from the 80s, probably.
Let me see.
80s.
Yeah, definitely definitely old because the scoreboard.
Well, and it's the not our newer
Mhm.
block ass either. So
Mhm.
so I would say probably the 80s if I'm to guess.
Yeah.
But just honestly, in my opinion, this was peak Reynolds Coliseum, and
This is
you'll
probably
never
late
change my mind.
80s because we didn't start putting the ACC logo in the paint until a little bit later. So I would guess it's probably like 87, 88, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
I had to-
agreed. But like just love. I mean, first of all, I mean, definitely gonna miss basketball games in old Reynolds Coliseum. It's just
Mhm.
it's just different. And then just love as well. Like, yeah, just like the old school feel of it here for sure. The old school Wolf Howl, miss that for sure. So, but yeah, again, huge shout out to Reynolds Coliseum celebrating 75 years and inarguably is one of the most historic arenas in basketball history. And
Yeah.
I'm talking college or pro.
It's what
So,
built the ACC. There's
Yeah.
no, the old Dixieland Classic back in the days of Norm Sloan. Was Norm Sloan? No,
Yep.
sorry, before Sloan. Everett Case. Sorry.
Every case.
Yeah.
First ever cutting down the nets happened in that
Mhm.
building.
I was at the last game, men's basketball full arena, and that
Really?
was it was which one's the Buccaneers? Charleston Southern? Is that
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was the game. It was one of those like Heritage Classic type games, and I just knew like, okay, I want to be there. Like I normally wouldn't have gone to that game, but I was like, last full size arena game at Reynolds, you got to be there.
Yeah. No, that's good. That was a good call. I'm definitely jealous of that.
Yeah.
Now bowl destinations real quick. Benjamin asked about that.
There's a list.
There's a list. There's a list. I've heard, basically, Birmingham, Gasparilla, and military seem to be
Yeah.
the three that have been mentioned.
Yeah,
And-
those are the three that
There's even some
in
wild ones out there that have been mentioned. The Pinstripes kind of been mentioned. Fenway's been mentioned. I've even seen the Detroit Bowl mentioned, which is wild. And then I've even seen Independence, and there was one other one that I saw that I was like, oh, okay. The weird thing here is there's a lot of ACC teams that are bowl eligible now. And we have, was it 13 of the 16, I think, that are bowl eligible?
Yeah.
And then depending on how the ACC championship game stacks out, will be a driving factor on who ends up where. Really was hoping that Miami and SMU were going to be locks for the CFP, and then if Clemson had snuck in there, that would have drastically changed who ended up where for bowl games. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
I think SMU's in.
Yeah, I think they.
Yeah,
I think they are.
If they keep that game within 20, they're guaranteed in.
I think SMU.
I think if Clemson loses, Miami might have a chance to sneak back in, but that's a very big if.
Yeah, what did Miami end up with? 2 losses.
They're 10-2.
Yeah,
so
they could make it, but they need a lot. They need some other barriers.
Yeah, their losses are not good though. They lost to Syracuse, and what was the other one they lost to?
Georgia Tech.
Yeah, that's bad.
And
That's
late in the
bad.
season.
Had Georgia Tech won against Georgia,
yeah,
that might have changed the conversation. I think Miami's losses are just really bad losses. You can't lose to 2 unranked teams, whereas SMU has 1 loss, and it was to BYU as a ranked team. I think Clemson, they've lost to Louisville, who's not ranked anymore. They've lost to South Carolina, which is a good loss if you're going to have a loss. And then what was the other loss they had? They've had 3. Is it 3?
Have they? No, I thought they only had 2.
Clemson?
They only have 2?
Clemson, they lost to Georgia and they lost to
Georgia. Yeah.
Louisville.
Yeah. Thank you.
Louisville, South
Yeah.
Carolina.
Georgia, and they got blown the hell out by Georgia.
Yep.
And who have they beaten? Like Clemson hasn't really beaten anybody.
No, not really. Yeah.
I would say probably their best win is Virginia Tech, and that's only because it's in one state.
That's a 6-6 team.
I know.
But I get your point. I get your point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't directed at you, Carson. I was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
like, well, like imagine we were talking about Virginia Tech being like this was going to be their breakout season this year.
They were right there with us.
Yeah, I know. So, but anyway, want to give a shout out as well to NC State women's volleyball, who I mean, just like again, we've said it before, this is has been that Lucas Slibe breakout season we have been waiting for. What a great year for sure. Again, beating Wake Forest twice, beating UNC, beating Duke, now beating number 10 SMU
That was huge.
Impressive fashion. Again, they were literally down 2-0 and won the last 3 sets to pull the upset. Like, so they called it a reverse sweep.
Yeah.
And at SMU of all places too. So at the number 10 team in the country, and they won 3-2.
And they just beat Miami too, who was under consideration for getting votes as well. It's a team that has so much talent. It just got their problem all year has just been consistency. Just just getting through the mental hurdles of a match. They can compete. It'll be fun to see. Number 6 in the country. That's a daunting task, but
hey, it's all gravy at this point. It's all gravy.
Who knows? You're in. That's all that matters. You're in. Anything can happen.
Yep. So in-state women's volleyball is taking on number 6 Florida on Friday, December 6th, 5 p.m. in Lawrence, Kansas, for the first round of the NCAA championship. But again, just huge hats off and huge congrats to Lucas Slibe, this coaching staff, and these women. I mean, just what an amazing season for sure. I think which it's kind of crazy to say, but I mean, I think without even checking twice, and Carson, I love your thoughts on this as well, because I know you cover it maybe a little bit more than we do, but I mean, I would say without even a shadow of a doubt, without even thinking twice, this has been in-state volleyball's most successful season in their program history.
Yeah, absolutely. You've seen them have a lot of tough matches, especially with the expansion of the ACC, adding Stanford and SMU, who are really good programs. And I mean, you'll see games where going down to Georgia Tech, you're probably not going to win that. Going down to Louisville, you're probably not going to win that. I think their biggest struggle all season has been playing against teams that block really well. That's been their biggest struggle, but I think they've shown a lot of resiliency through adversity. We saw the Miami game; they fought hard in the Miami game, and then the SMU game. If they do not win that SMU game, they don't make the tournament.
Agreed.
Wow.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I mean, and that the girls probably knew that going into that match too. So
yeah, it started to kind of turn when they lost that Boston College match about a month ago, that they were in that thing the whole thing and just couldn't finish, and that was just kind of a bad loss, even though Boston College on the surface isn't horrible, but it just was one that they should have won. And then you see, and I think the biggest thing was this year for them is the step up with these new teams that came into the conference. I think that just, the conference becomes a really good volleyball conference now with the addition of those 3 schools.
Oh yeah.
ACC had 9. It gives you, go ahead. I'm sorry.
ACC had 9 teams make the tournament.
Yeah.
9.
It just gives you more opportunity for quality wins. I guess the long way of just kind of saying that. So if you do drop off on a match that you maybe should win, you can make that up a little bit easier with that competition being as strong as it is.
Agreed. Absolutely. And I love Endgame's comment here saying the last time Layton said, quote unquote, it's all gravy, we went to the Final Four.
Well, he said it on Thanksgiving Day too, but
that's
all right.
That is true. That is true. Yeah. No, but again, y'all. So again, the show next week, we'll definitely make sure to have Marquise Williams' video, and we will sit back and watch it, maybe replay it a couple of times. And enjoy it for sure and bask in it. It's gonna be glorious. It's gonna be beautiful for sure.
Shout out men's soccer. I know their season ended on Saturday.
Yeah,
they fought. Oh, there you go. Sorry, my apologies.
Nope, you're good. You're good. Yeah. Took my thunder, Greg. No, no. I mean, huge shout out to men's soccer. I mean, just we talked about it again last week, but obviously under brand new head coach in Mark Hubbard, and getting all the way up to even a top 15 national polling, and also too in that same season getting to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2018 in his first season. Again, I've said it 100 times. I'll say it again. This was not a rebuild. This was a reload. It was just load the gun and go from the first shot. And that's what you saw with this coach and with this coach's success. I don't see any reason why whatsoever why this is the floor.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see why with Mark Hubbard that you can't expect at least this every single season.
He did something that hadn't been done in 33 years, and and winning 2 tournament games in the same season. That's
Yeah.
that's on par with 40 years between Final Fours. It's uncharted waters, and so to your point, there's a lot to be proud of.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So again, huge shout out to men's soccer and love it and love what we do. Now real quick, as Carson,
Let's not talk about basketball. Let's not talk about it.
okay.
I knew that's where you're going.
Men's or women's?
Either.
You know what really grinds my gears?
NC State basketball right now.
It's a rough start.
It's a little
Rough
frustrating.
start.
Hey, we're number 91 in the net. Let's go.
91.
Let's go. Only
Better than 230 or whatever Virginia Tech is. Jeez.
But
Yeah,
you know what?
They're bad.
But you know what? No matter what happens this season, a conversation around either coach being on the hot seat's not happening this season.
I know. That's nice. We don't have to talk about that.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
So guess what? Yeah, it's a rough start, but
At least for one more season.
Yeah, I mean, for this season, it's not happening.
I mean, I guess it's a rough start because you've lost your 2 most high profile out of conference games, right?
Right.
And it's fixable.
It's
a rough start because of how college basketball is organized now, like in the current days, that all these non-conference games mean a lot, and which kind of sucks, but because we're about to go play 20 ACC games.
Especially neutral court. Yeah. That's where you have to make your biggest, because you just don't get these games. Now we are going to get we got more opportunities. We got Texas this week. We got a decent Florida State team, and then we're going to Kansas in a week and a half. So there's still opportunities. Yeah. It's not like football. You're out of it by this point. If we already lost 2 games, we were already out of it.
You would think with all this emphasis on non-conference games that they would allow us to have a smaller conference schedule, but we can't do that because the conferences are so big at this point.
Right.
If I'm a coach, I would much rather have an 18-game conference schedule than a 20. That way we have non-conference schedule, which is much more flexible for us, but we can't do that.
Yeah. Good point.
I know. And we went from the 18 to the 20 because it was like, oh, this is going to make all of our schedules that much harder, look that much better, because we're playing all more ACC teams, and now it's like the complete opposite.
Well, especially when the national perspective, which has been this way for the last 3 to 5 years, is the ACC's down, the ACC's down. Yet every year in the Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four, by damn, there's an ACC team there.
Multiple.
Now, of course,
correct.
Now, of course, right now it's basically Duke and then everybody else. Right now, obviously, right now it
I
seems
wouldn't
like
say Carolina. I mean,
heck no.
They had a rough Thanksgiving week.
Carolina misses Armando Bacot.
They got no lead down low.
Yeah, and RJ Davis hasn't been the same either. I mean, he hasn't. No. He's been okay, but when you lose Bacot, you're going to need someone to step up, and it just hasn't happened yet. But again, we're 6-7 games into this thing. There's still a ton of basketball left.
Yeah. And then women's basketball really grinds my gears. It's basically right now a bowl of diamonds that in a pile of dust. Like it's like there's diamonds in there somewhere. We don't know where they are, but there are diamonds in there. I can't tell you for certain. There are some really great players on this team somewhere, but we haven't seen them, and obviously we are really missing Caitlin Weimar right now. We are just it is painful to watch right now. So
it's gonna be a work in progress down low for the foreseeable future.
Yes,
and again, you're hoping as these ladies get more playing time, they get more acclimated with each other. You start getting more minutes. Maybe you start to see some things come together. Just playing together a little bit more. People's roles are still trying to be defined a little bit, especially when you have an injury in a key spot. So you're asking people to play a little bit more than they maybe were expecting. Wes will figure it out. I have no doubt.
Yeah.
Trust in Wes.
Wes we trust, but let's figure it out, please, because I'm pulling hair right now looking at this roster. Going, we are so not even within spitting distance of where this team should be with how talented this roster is. So,
I know.
Anyway.
Pac-9 schedule got released last week. We can probably talk about that next week when we have a little bit less to talk about. At least football won't consume as much of our conversation. Is kind of where I'm going. We'll have a little bit of time.
Well, by
good-
then
good-
we'll know
good
what
schedule.
bowl game. Well, by then we'll know what bowl game we're going to. So
Yeah, we'll know probably Saturday night, Sunday.
Sunday. Well, we'll have
Well,
an idea Saturday
it'll
night.
start leaking. It'll start leaking Saturday night after championship games are played, and then all the official announcements will roll out Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the playoff bracket comes out on Sunday.
Yeah, once the playoff bracket comes out, then the bowls start getting announced. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sunday night.
Yeah.
Yep. So we'll
But you'll
see.
start hearing. You'll start hearing. People will start leaking.
Yeah.
Right.
Joe Giglio's usually on top of that.
Mhm.
For whatever reason, he gets the inside scoop on, especially when you're talking about triangle teams where they're going. So
Yep.
I would follow him if you want to see maybe early.
Now,
Agreed.
I mean, the one statement I'll say about Pac-9, and then we'll wrap this up. Omaha or bust, in my opinion.
Happy
this
birthday,
team, man.
D-Rock. D-Rock's birthday's
Happy
today.
birthday, D-Rock.
Whoa.
Absolutely. Speaking of Omaha or bust,
There you
happy
go.
birthday, D-Rock.
Yeah.
Yep. Amen. So anyway, Michael, Carson, Greg, any final comments, man, before we wrap this up?
Big
Been a
ones
great
that-
one.
for basketball. Texas and FSU, like I said, got to get back on the winning track. Starts
Yep.
what, tomorrow night or Wednesday?
Yeah.
Wednesday for men. I don't know
Wednesday.
when women
Yeah.
play.
Wednesdays. Yeah. Texas.
Wednesday. So, but yep, nope. Again, Wolfpack Nation, thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate y'all joining us for this Beat the Cheat celebration, and we enjoyed it. We loved it. We love this annual tradition.
Right.
And we'll see y'all at early December 2025, and we'll do it again. So. Anyway, Wolfpack Nation, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell as Michael is waiting with his Go Pack hand sign. And again, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. If you listen to us on iHeart Podcast, Apple Podcast, wherever you listen to us, do us a big favor. Leave a 5-star review, and then make sure to give us a follow. Tuffy Talk now on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, y'all. But we love you guys. We appreciate it. We'll see y'all next week. And as always, Go Pack, y'all.